Hello and welcome once again to Wars Going On. I'm Arcturus and I'm here with Sebastian Keynes here on the Forerunner server to bring you the latest in what's going on in Watcher of Realms. As ever, please do remember to like and subscribe and to get involved down in the comment section. Join us on our Discord or just in the comment section, and this is where we will get more ideas about what to talk about in future episodes. How are you doing, Sebastian?
I'm doing okay. How about you? It's been a busy week. We had some interesting kind of update that rolled up in the game, and we finally got some news regarding the Gauntlet. We can get into that. But let's. One of the things I just wanted to tell people, hey, let's help Arturos out. Let's get the subscription number up. And like I said, I'm going to keep my word on it. When he hits 250, we'll have a W Gold giveaway here in this channel. And I will sponsor it. So
Nice.
let's get Arturos up, okay? That's my my incentive to try to.
We're
to get
currently
this
on.
a
We're
little bit
currently
more.
on 185, so we're
Yeah,
nearly
yeah.
there.
Push push it. All right,
Right.
so
So
let's start with the news.
yeah,
So I think that the best news that we got out of this whole patch is Valkyra's rework, man. They're
yeah.
just like they're saying we're gonna take the heroes that everybody likes, we're gonna make them even better.
Well, and I think part of it goes back to this ongoing thing about the original heroes that don't have talent, and Valkyra obviously didn't have a talent at the time. Her basic just did
Mm.
this magic damage vulnerability, and because it's on screen behind us here. And what we do now is that she gets as soon as anything comes into range, she doesn't even have to attack them. She applies vulnerability to them, and then when they die, she gets a buff of 15% damage, which is
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. And what I haven't managed to test yet is whether that stacks. Because if it stacks, Gear Dungeon 1 Stage 10 is going to become so easy. You just stick her up there, she starts taking them out, her damage goes up, and all of those sycophants who are walking across are just it's going to be like the Vienna exclusive gear. They're just going to want to start running in the other direction, because as soon as they start falling, they're going to just
exactly. It'll be really hard to try to time it so you can see the ticks increasing, because I imagine that as soon as she's able to take one sycophant out, she's gonna take the whole group out, right? So it has to be something where it's a little bit more sequential than having the group coming at you. But the whole idea now that just entering her range automatically adds vulnerability, and she then can, deal her damage. If one dies, 15%. Hypothetically, how they wrote it, another one dies. Now you're at 30, and you can just take the rest of the line out. You reset. You wait. You come in for the next wave.
what I have to do tomorrow, and I will try and remember to record my Northern Faction run. And if so, I'll insert it here and I'll see if I can get like some change on what's going on with her numbers as she starts taking out those defenders on the bottom line. Because if she takes out one and then it goes up by 15%, then that should be relatively easy to spot in the numbers. So
Right.
yeah, I'll make a mental note to try and do that tomorrow, and then I'll put the video in here, or it's probably a slowed down clip, maybe inserted. But yeah, we'll have something here, hopefully, to show off those numbers going up. But
All
that's
right.
not
And
all. Her kit is
no.
just even better now, because previously, when she revived someone to A5, at A5, they got a big damage buff if she brought them back. Now they've decided that's not quite good enough. Let's make Valkyra like get some of this divine power too. So she is also going to get the 100% damage increase for 10 seconds. So that's going to be really powerful. Now, obviously, it's going to be less powerful in GvG than it used to be, because she used to be an absolute staple in the way they're designing the maps these days. It's much harder to use her, but still, that's a really massive buff, and people will find places to use her in content.
So this kit will also come into play in Arena, right? So if you plan it out where you can play somebody like Cyrene in front of her and Cyrene just happens to die, you could just revive. She gains the boost, and you can then try to clear the wave there. But it does take the Fifth Awakening to get there. So I don't know how many people will get there, but we do have to keep in mind that we can get her two different ways: is the ancient pools and also on the rare, on the invocation and divine. So she's widely available.
Yeah, definitely. She's definitely one to good have, and I don't think she has a bad awakening in her kit. I mean, every part of her is just building nicely, and with this talent, it just makes her an even stronger member of your roster.
I think they also just maybe they try to make it a little bit easier for AMR, maybe a little bit as well for people that might have her, just so they can get that step into getting the artifacts right and get a chance at the exclusives as well. So I think overall is a good.
Yeah, this is going to be really good in 19 and 21 because she's got that long range. She's got all of that opportunity to apply that vulnerability to them. So, yeah, it's going to be a really good one.
Yep, she'll definitely help out a lot there. All right, now talking about AMR, 19 to 22 here. They finally fixed the team setup. So I did notice that. So now when I go to 21, I have a different. My team is different from 22.
So you should just be able to about see that. I'm slightly far over. You can just about see it there. So that's my 22 state team. And if I drop back out and drop into 21, theoretically,
So you haven't fixed it yet.
I haven't been into it recently, but
so run it once. Run your 21 team once. Run your 22 team once. When you come back to it, everything should remain the same there.
Yeah.
So whatever you ran in 21 is going to be there.
My team runs in 21 is pretty standard Estrid faction team. So yeah, I'm sure I will. I've got it saved as an auto battle, but yeah, it's just I haven't been into 21 for a while, so I've not since they applied the change. But I can do some playing around and edit that in later.
So one of the things though that I'm wondering as we're discussing all these little Q of L features that they're introducing into the game is I'm hoping that a lot of this can be backdoored, right, without having to update the app, because that's what's holding a lot of the other updates up, is that they need to update the app. So when we're discussing this, please do keep in mind that some of this may come in eventually. It's just they have to backdoor in a way where the app does not be too updated, because that's the holdup with Apple, is their inability to update the app right now.
Yeah, that is obviously a big issue, but hopefully the next update patch for global should be coming in the next week. The patch notes, if they are coming in a sort of like the monthly rotation, which they tend to be, should be coming in the next week or so. And that will probably be after the end of this Shadow in the Castle event.
Yes.
And that would be a perfect time to roll an update out onto global, get in some of these big changes which we've had on Forerunners recently, and it would be just in time for season 6 of the GvG and the the will they won't they tournament that we now have more clarity on. And this is a perfect opportunity for them to roll it out, because there are some lovely things which have come into Forerunners recently. And yeah, it's only fair that global get them soon.
Okay, so then the other minor ones, apparently they're adjusting the light effect for the 5-star psychic power from dropping from the chests. I don't know if
so
people
the nightmare. Sorry, I was just going to say the Nightmare 3 and 4 chests. I picked mine up this morning. Yeah. They definitely, if you get a psychic power, it doesn't show as gold anymore. It shows as purple, which is nice. Well, nice and not so nice. But I mean, so 5-star psychic powers are great for messing up with people on training oracles, but that's about it.
And then I didn't check on this, but they optimized the class tag, is what they said on the hero details. Was that like they just like showing that they're a fighter or a mage a little bit more clearly, or what exactly did they clear there?
Hero details. So
Yeah, it's minor, but they said that
yeah,
they made that they optimized that. So I don't know particular.
I've
They
not
did.
spotted it. I mean, I'm going to sneakily go over and talk about something else that's in the gallery, which shouldn't yet be in the gallery, but they've managed to mess up and leak her out early. Is this lady?
Yep, she's here in
She,
Forerunners. Yep,
yeah,
I said.
she's
Yep.
she snuck out a week early, and a couple of people managed to draw her today in chat. So she will be coming. She should be coming to Global next week in the as the next banner. But yeah, she is currently live. There's a couple of people who have her kit. I have seen a couple of reviews of her. It's an interesting addition to the summoners mechanic, but very expensive to deploy. She's 22, and in arena, which is generally the place where you might want to use an AoE mage with a slightly, I want to say, esoteric attack range, otherwise known as the Cratch attack range. You 22 is an awful lot to pay for someone who's you can. There are other people who can do the job probably faster.
That's the kicker on her is the range and the cost so far from what I heard. She's not a great damage dealer. I think she's supposed to be more of a control mage. But I do have to play around with her a little bit more before I make any final. So we'll save that for when when she's coming into the game properly.
Yeah. But yeah, there's nothing really. Just looking in here, there's nothing which is really standing out. Maybe they've improved the shading on this slightly. It looks slightly darker here on my screen, so maybe they tried to make that a bit clearer on the, and that's what they mean.
Okay, so then the other one is that they finally added back the 11th daily quest. So now we only have to now we have a little bit more options, I guess. And faction trials.
Yeah,
So if you one stage, you get credit for it now there as well.
yeah, and it's worth noting that this was discussed as an optimization to the next iteration of the Golden Dragon trial. So the Golden Dragon's now going to have a extra thing in it where you have to complete the faction trials 10 times a week. So you're going to be wanting to do faction trials anyway, even if you've got a max pantheon, just so you're ticking off your stages on the Golden Dragon. So you're getting the rewards from that. And yeah, this is just a reminder to get it done. And it's 10,000 gold. I mean, it's 1/4 of a piece of gear from the shop, but it doesn't take too long.
Okay, and then the two other minor the updates that they put on the other section. Let's leave those for when we start talking about Guild Wars here.
Yeah.
So let me jump to the gear. They for the Forge. Apparently, they optimized the Gear Forge interface. Now it prioritizes the exclusive gear.
Yeah.
Corresponding to the
So if I just jump into the Gearforge here, so here I click on the Foundry and I come over to the recast. Now all of my
guest.
exclusive gear has jumped to the top here. So all of this
Yep.
stuff is exclusive. One thing which they did roll out that was not mentioned in the patch notes is that when you forge this now, you get the character icon in this corner. So it can tell you immediately which hero it's for. Which is a nice sort of thing. It makes it a bit easier to see, but yeah, it's now like the artifact. So if you forge an exclusive artifact, it comes up with a little character icon, and this is exactly the same thing, but it's just on the gear.
Now, the other one that I really like now is when we're messing around with gear and we want to look to see what a piece does to the stats, and now flashes it right away.
Yeah. So straight away, rather than having to go into the quick change and play around in the gear change tool here, you can just jump straight into your kit, and it will show you what the changes to the BP, what the changes to the attack and the crit rate. So yeah, it's a really nice little feature, very, very useful for just doing some quick on the fly modification to what the impact of changing this piece of gear will be.
Right. And then if you need to complete a whole set, then you use the gear plan interface that they have. So, but this
Yeah.
one here I really do like, because if you're just looking to maybe change one piece and you're playing around with attack, crit damage, for example, then that's a very convenient way to do it. All right, and then the last one, exclusive artifacts got a little bit of a boost in their forging rates.
Yeah,
We'll go
so
from
now the Titan Forge and Wisdom Forge, otherwise known as the frustration and the chance of drawing a 10 legendaries after 25,000 energy to try and get some decent materials together, you now have a 4% chance to draw one of these. I mean, it's exactly the same mechanic that you. Oh, there you go. 4% chance, ladies and gentlemen.
we're trying to make a point here, Muntan. Thank you very much.
So yeah, so there you go. 4% chance. It's exactly the same thing. It does the thing, and there we go. Yeah, it's still got a very high chance of drawing a legendary. You've got your mythics at 26%, and now this slight buff from 2% to 4% on the exclusives. Yeah, it's better than nothing, but it's still not as good as the Radiant Meteorites.
I am glad that they boosted it up a little bit, just to make people feel a little bit better when they forge, or when they go, hey, I'm on 120,000 points on an oracle, and then they only get 4 exclusive artifacts out of it. That this is a nice little bump to it. And but one of the things that I do want eventually, I'm gonna ask Fastidious if he'd be willing to get a project going where we keep track of the actual rates for each one of the heroes, because I have a sneaking suspicion that some heroes have lower rates than others, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that does sound like the sort of thing that he and Seamus would be willing to pull together.
Right. So the other two little things that they changed in terms of interface, that's skill wars. So before we get there, though, Arturos, I was actually recording a summoning video, and I was on the Divine portal, on the Divine, right? And apparently, I think they coded it wrong. But then the next day, we actually found out what it was supposed to be for.
Yeah.
And we have a new animation for the ancient summoning portal.
Yeah. So here we go. Here's the animation which you encountered in the Divines. It's just running in the background here. And so it's a kind of a 3-stage. It's all very nice. And there we go. It kind of loops around. It does zooms in, and it shows us the thing. So I reached out to the guys who do the data mining, and I said, this is, well, first of all, I reached out to the devs, and the devs said, we're not uploading it to the asset folder yet. I was like, okay, fair enough. So I did what any sensible content creator would do, and I went to the people who do the data mining, and I said, guys, I want to get access to this video. I really want to show it off. And they came back and said, well, actually, there's not just one, there's 4. There's one for gold, there's one for purple, and there's also one for red. So what you can see running above me here are the 2 videos to show the difference between gold and the red. So it's subtle, but definitely this one over here has much more of a reddish tinge than the one just above me here, which has a very distinctive gold tinge. And that's opened up some doors to speculation.
Open them. I was like, they took it down. Now everybody's expecting it. This is really intriguing. Yes. Are we going to have some type of version of a mythical hero or heroes? Or is this new faction that they have the little lock on it if you go in the gallery here in Forerunners. Is that supposed to be this red hue, however they're going to call them? All of this is kind of stirred the pot a little bit that we have other type of rarity coming into the game.
Yeah,
Already.
no, I mean, well, the game's 2 years old, so coming up to 2 years. So just pause these running in the background because they are slightly annoying. I'll just take them off. So we've got the game's coming up to 2 years old, so they're obviously looking for trying to find ways to deal with power creep and to keep people interested. And obviously, the spenders who are the gacha collectors have got most of their heroes now. So they're going, okay, so how can we bring more stuff in? Now, they've tried that originally with Lady Alexandra, and they've made this Apex exclusive hero who people are really starting to tear through now. And to the extent where, as I was editing the last video, they made changes to the points in Arena and how people are being able to get access to the refreshes on that to try and slow down how quickly people are getting her. And now this might be the next stage in that. And so, okay, so we've tried doing this. So now we're going to make an even smaller summon pool. So if you think for a moment that you've got, let me just dive into the ancient pool. You've got the Lords and the Yimerits in here. So we've got the rates here. So standard rates. 0.8% for a Lord in the exclusive pools. Sorry, in the ancient pools. Does that mean they're going to introduce another tier on top, which is 0.4% or lower, which is going to be even more powerful? I mean, that is just a massive unknown that we're going to have to find.
Or they copy Raid Shadow Legends and they introduce a new crystal type into the game. And so we're talking about a fourth portal that opens up during a special event.
I would be intrigued. I mean, this game has gone from having 3 crystal types to 2 crystal types to 3 crystal types. So way back in development, there was a purple crystal type, which was a kind of epics plus, where it was a chance of it wasn't quite a divine, but it was like rares and epics as opposed to divines, which is epics and legendaries. So, and now we've got the ancient exclusives, which is 97% trash and 1% and 3% gold. And you've got an awful lot of people who the heroes are just so powerful in there. The ancient exclusive heroes. Your Ardias and your Carnelians are just game changing no matter which team you have them. Then you get your Valderons and your Praetors. So they're game changing for most players. How they introduce another pool on top of this, it's just going to be it's so much chaos.
And then what is going to be the special mechanic of this new rarity because Raid Shadow Legends decided we're just going to have him transform into a whole new type of hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 3 new skills, same basic or different basic, and then different, like ultimates. And not only that, but they have different buffs and debuffs to them. And in this game, can you do that, or do you have to do something where you are introducing something like the demonic stance that Lucia says?
So I mean, there's a couple of heroes who do things like that. So you've got Admiral Claw, who attacks several times into his Bloodstorm Annihilator, which then changes how his mechanic works to keep him at low health and but it changes his fundamental basic attack into a different attack stance. As you say, we've got Lucius, who's got his 2-phase attack. And I think, it would probably have to be something along those lines, I think, to be more transformational than the legendaries that we've already got. But yeah, you're kind of in that stage of like, how do you top Praetus, Ingrid, and Valderon? It's going to be really interesting.
Don't dare him. I think that they could do it. It can be done. There's no question that. But yeah, I'm. But like you said, is it going to be, if it happens, if it's going to be a lower percentage, or I like the idea more that they just introduce a new crystal, and that's why they're getting the animations ready now, because they want to try to overlap that as well. So we'll see. But
I
it
still
is
think it's going to be in the ancient pool, because if I just pull this up one last time and I'm like center it, you can see that is the ancient background that's going on there. That is very much in the ancient pool where that is, because this is where this has been introduced.
I can see that. Yes. Okay.
Okay, so that's a little bit of fun speculation. That's the kind of news there. There was one other thing which I think was new, and you can correct me and I can edit this out if it's wrong, was that the auto battles now have a minimize function. Rather than, I think you just said you confirmed recently or cancelled. And now I think the background battles say minimize here. So I think that's a slight change that I don't recall seeing previously. And they show the speed that the battle is running at up here as well.
Right. Yeah, the speed thing was on the last set of patch notes. The minimize thing I didn't know about. So if you click on minimize, what happens?
It just vanishes. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So then you can just go on with your day. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Perfect. All right. So let's go to the whole Guild Wars. So now we're going to switch over. Now, before we get there, there was a slight quality of life change that was made to the friendly face-offs. So now we can tell it to just open it up to our guild members.
Yeah, so here we go. So now, rather than having your entire friends list being able to pick you off in friendly face-off, you can choose just to have it to your guildmates. So let me just see how this is looking. So I can't quite see me. No. There we go. Move me off screen for a moment. So there we go. You can now see that it's friendly face-off for guild members only, and you can have it so that you can have just guild friendly. So yeah, really nice feature there. And there's something else user spotted. Gladiator Gauntlet, way over above Sebastian's head, is now got its own friendly facial feature. And there's a reason for that.
There is a major reason for that. So let's get on to it. Let's go ahead and go to the interface and let's show everybody how they this out.
Okay, so after the last week, and we contacted the devs and said, what the hell's going on? What's going on with the Gladiator Gauntlet? And they gave us this kind of brush-off answers, both to myself and independently to Sebastian. We got patch notes this week that said, oh, no, it's definitely happening. And this is how it's happening. So tomorrow, at the time of we're doing the editing of this is going to be releasing the first round of 32 battles. And then it's going to go 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And it's going to be right on top of so Monday. So that's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday is the last day of setup for Guild round 6. Season 6. Correct. Season 6 starts there. Semi-final. Yeah. This is only the top 32 guilds, because on Forerunners we only have 32 guilds that have achieved the criteria to be in the Gladiator Gauntlet.
Given the number of guilds that are in Forerunners, 32 is the adequate number to hold a tournament here, or at least a gauntlet here. In Global, it's set up to be 256. So don't the way that it's coded right now is 256. But for here, for runners, we're just doing 32. And
so bear in mind that, so you've got 256, so you'd have 64, 128, 256. So that's an extra 3 days of this. So that first week of season 6, if you are in an Overlord guild, you're going to have to be dealing with 2 different maps, additional rounds of GvG, and if you're pushing for those top 32 places, then you've got to have because it's like the top 6. So let's just dive into why you might care about this. So the ranking rewards. If you get in the top 16, you get access to the exclusive skin for Greed, which is a very nice skin.
It is.
And you're getting, 70 skill crystals, 70 skill crystals, two skill crystals, 2 refining tokens, 1,800 guild coins. And that's less of an interest, but it basically lets you change how your guild banner is displayed. But look at this top banner, which obviously is going to be these are kind of predetermined based on who the guilds are on these servers. But there's like 5 skill crystals, 5 refining tokens, 3,500 guild coins, the skin, and an extra chat bubble. So
yeah, so it'll be Kraken's rejoicing, essentially. Yeah. But so for us here, is at least with only having 32, we know that for our guild is at least try to push the first match and do well there, right? Because if we get to the next round, guaranteed
we get the greed
skin.
Yeah.
Everybody, right? Okay, now think about this though for global, because now we have 256. So for 3 days, or 4 days, you're gonna narrow that down to 56, 128, 64, 32. And when you get into the 5th day, now not only do you have to deal with continuing that grind, that one final push to get in there, but they are going to have to be setting things up for their first match in season 6. So I think that you and I kind of, like we said, if we keep advancing, and given that our guild is in the top 6, that if we get into that round where it kind of overlaps with the first match of season 6, we kind of said it's fine. We just go ahead and don't worry too much about the season 6 stuff. We'll come back to it later, regroup the next week, and then we have still 6 weeks for us to learn and then make the major push at the last 2. Right.
And it's worth pointing out that this is not the season 5 map. They had previously said, "Oh yeah, it will be the season 5 map." It's not. It's a modified season 5 map, and we'll pull it up in a second. We'll look at the 2 different maps, but that means that the strategies which worked previously don't work anymore. There are now new heroes who have come out who are going to mess up anything that you thought would work previously. Yeah, it's gonna be chaos. It's gonna be hard work, and to do that alongside a brand new season 6 map, which we've spent a week playing with already in setup, and it's not a straightforward one to play with, and it's both keeps and towers. Yeah, it's going to be really challenging for those Overlord people and those people who are pushing as hard as they can in that gauntlet.
So now let's kind of give the positive of the gauntlet, because they tried to make sure that they wasn't too stressful, quote unquote, right? Number 1, they reduced the garrison's HP. That's what they have said. I'm expecting it to be 60 on both tower and keep.
So when I set my keep up, and I did manage, it did flash up for a second after I set a sign, it popped up saying it was 90 for the keep. So if it's 90 for the keep and it's less health in the towers, then it's probably going to be 60 in the towers. So I think the idea is that there are more attacks to level your opponent. I think that's kind of what they want to get more.
But if we read the patch notes, it also says that the number of attacks might be less, or that one commander can only attack one garrison one time, or a specific defense one time. I think that we're also going to get reduced number of attacks in this as well. So, but I'm 6, but I don't think we'll have the full 8, the full slate of fate.
Yeah, compared to regular Guild, where each Gladiator Gauntlet round will have fewer battles. Well, that could be interpreted in a number of ways. Lower garrison fortification HP while maintaining the same number of demon captain uses. Oh, you can only attack each team once. So currently you can attack twice, so you're only going to attack once.
Right. So
Don't mess up, people.
Yeah, but it could be either because it's less of HP on the garrison, or because we have less attacks.
Yeah.
So that's why they say you can only attack that one defense once, right? So we'll see. So that's kind of the two changes that they made from that. Was there anything regarding any? I don't think there was anything else besides just the makeup of the map now.
No, so let's just please
Start
don't
with the keep.
keep. Yeah, okay. I'll start with the keep. So
Yeah, because the one here is the Ingrid map.
okay, yeah.
And they kind of now ease the strain of having to battle an Ingrid. And I know that people might not see it that way, but you lose one tile where Ingrid can be effective, and that's a big change.
Yeah, so Ingrid is now the Ingrid tile has now been dropped back one square. You can just see it about here where my mouse is. And that means that her effective range comes to here. Dahlia goes one step further, but Dahlia is nowhere near as effective at control and damage as Ingrid. I'm sure someone's going to jump in the comments and tell me that's wrong. But anyway, for most situations, that is the case. Ingrid and Dahlia are not on par. And so you've got this different setup. You've got more tiles available up here. They've changed how these are available. They've changed where the floor tiles are available around this this sort of bottleneck corridor. Previously, you could drop somebody here and you could have your defender there. They've changed that. That doesn't work anymore. So you've got to work in different strategies. Yeah, it's interesting map. They've made some interesting changes and they've tried to mix things up a bit. Obviously, you've now got Kagiri, who can do some funny things where he can attack people from massively out of range. And he's going to be fun to play with. That is not a recommended setting, by the way. I've already had my guild chewing my ear off about that set off. But the Ingrid one, this Ingrid is doing an awful lot of fun stuff here. So there we go.
So I think that part of this too is that either they're making you change the formation of it, and now they are kind of making it less potent to have somebody in front of Ingrid. That's one. So they kind of got rid of that tile. But number two is I was thinking that they were trying to kind of dare you a little bit to move Ingrid at top, right? Because she can extend on top, come down, and point south. Yeah. And you could try doing it, but they took that tile away from you. So now you can't put somebody back there. And we cannot put a fighter on that slot right before the core. Either way, what they okay on you now.
No, it's they've definitely made some interesting changes to this setup. They've kept what I like to call the Valderon tile over here. He can still slam anybody coming around the corner, and because of his invulnerability effects, he can still cause absolute chaos. But yeah, I think it's some nice changes to the map. I think it's going to be an interesting one to play with, especially when you've got like decent control in the way. So yeah, we'll see what comes of it.
The downside to that, though, is that even though they give us all these extra tiles, there's still some of them are still vulnerable to the Garner guards, especially if you can get them to be high BP. So you still have to work with that. So you'll have to work with your guild on a whole new defense. It changes how now the keep is played now in this new version. So this is why Arcturus and I were saying you're not only going to be testing this defense on that week off. But on top of it, you're going to try to familiarize yourself with season 6. So that's why, at least our perspective was, let's not worry too much about week 1, season 6. We have 7 where we can make things up and relieve the stress of how everything is being laid out here.
Yeah.
But this, for the competitive guilds, oh my God, I can't imagine how many hours they're going to be spending trying to perfect this.
Yeah, I mean, there is something in the notes, and I will leave it up to the top guilds to determine what to do with this information. It does say that if fewer than 4 guilds sign up, then there will not be a Gladiator's Gauntlet. Take that information and do with it what you will.
I don't think it'll happen, but I can see where you're going with it.
Okay, so here again, lots of changes to this setup. Interestingly, this tile seems more vulnerable to Garnet guards than it was in previous iterations of this map. I don't know why, but it does seem to be. Maybe it's just the logic of the demon soldiers going around the map. They will preferentially target that a bit more now. That target tile is still an absolute nightmare. You now have 2 tiles up here for causing chaos on things coming up here. And you now have a Valkyra tile or long range tile here, which could be used with an Ardia or a Valkyra with a tank. So pulled. There you go.
And that's what I was actually having our guildmates taste. One defense that I set up with Ardia because I wanted to see the interaction there. And so far, the 3 that tried it said it's working. The Garner Guards aren't even making it to the tile that I didn't want them to make it to. But yeah, so it on the left-hand side of that map, different defenses now. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that platform where you put Vortex in there, the Garner Guards will start aiming towards it as soon as they hit the Regulus range. So you have to make sure you tank your unit up, or you already have some way to make sure that you can bring those guys down before they get a second shot off.
Double healers. We've had double tanks. Why not double healers? Okay, so I mean, this kind of shows where the tiles are. We've still got the couple sort of down at the bottom. We've still got a lot of floor tiles to play with around this corridor. Again, interestingly, I think they've removed the placement from this tile here. I think you could previously place on this tile.
They moved it for Valkyra.
Yeah. So, yeah, as I say, it's a brand new map. It's not the Season 5 map. You need to rethink your strategies. So don't look at the map and go, oh, it's a Season 5 map. It's not. Be prepared to learn a new map.
It's the way that I'm seeing this is that at least in the keep, they made it a little bit more complicated to defend. And when it comes to this one, they actually, I think they give the advantage a little bit more to the defense by opening up some of the styles there. The one that I'm concerned about, though, that might trap a lot of people is when they see those 2 platforms being opened up right at the beginning. Because if they think they're going to slow down the Garner Guards at the beginning, you have to make sure it's a unit that can take a couple of hits. Because otherwise, those Garner Guards are going to take both platforms out on the back. But this is all stuff that we're learning as we go when we're practicing on this map. So, but we'll see. The other thing that we do not know at the time of this recording as well is how the matchmaking system is going to work. And I told Arturos if they do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the first round matchmaking system, I don't know, at least here in Forerunners we can make a little bit of noise, but it won't be loud enough for them to hear it. But if they pull that off on global and do that, oh my God, Discord is going to be heavens when it comes to
I mean, it's the worst possible thing they could do when there are so many straightforward ways of doing this. The 132, 231, 330 strategies out there.
Yeah.
But and those ones make sense, because then the people who scored the top are the people who are going to be funneled up into the most competitive thing. And this is what this is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be the creme of the creme. It's arguing the CLS versus DS1. I mean, Madder in Mad League. Let's just put them to one side. But you've got your major My Little Guild and everything going on global, and it's like, which of those is actually the best? Because you don't always necessarily get to have that knockout round, and this is like throwing you together to have that.
So based on where we finished our in season 5, I'm expecting the number 2017.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't happen, why would they leave the end where the number 1 clan is facing number 20 or whatever it is? It wouldn't make any sense at all. And if that is the situation, if that does happen, where we get like this 1, 2, 3, 4 thing matched up, I'm going to go to my global guild and I'm going to say, guys, if they apply this the same way, we might want to finish on the 20th. No kidding. We might want to easier transition to the gauntlet instead of having to battle number 1 or number 2 right away. So, well, we'll see. We'll see how they moonton this up.
Yeah, I mean, I can normally come up with an explanation for what their thinking is, but no, if they do that, it's just unhelpful, and it's not going to do anybody any favors. It's just going to piss everybody off.
You imagine right now the number 2 guild gets matched up with number 1, and they get knocked out right away, and boom, they lose the grid skin. Could you imagine that?
I mean, that'd
be interesting.
That would be an absolute nightmare, and you definitely don't want that to deal with that sort of fallout. Editor Arcturus here. So we now have more information about how the tournament is going to play out. It's now so that the team who came first are playing the 32 team. So on global, that will be the first team playing against the third person who comes in 256. That will go over the next couple of days, going from to the top 16, the top 8, the semi-finals, and then on the last day there will be finals and third place playoffs for the final rankings on this first ever gauntlet.
All right, so now season 6.
Season 6, as if you didn't love GvG enough. It's just to finish season 5, it's straight into season 6.
All I have to say is we were expecting a week off, and we didn't get it, to be honest with you. We didn't get it. We didn't get it. So,
I assume they took it as the fresh map as the week off, but it's certainly not felt like it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we briefly did we show these maps last time? I think we did show them briefly.
It was the Leakers Cruise map, and of course those always have the course flipped and the spawn point. So, and this one is properly set up. So we have here the spawn point on the left, and now we can see it goes all the way around. The other thing which she emphasized too is that the clock increased, right? So we have 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's about an extra 30 seconds on it. You've obviously got some fairly complicated things with this central platform here is allowing you to focus round, obviously, and you've got any long range units, Ingrid, can cause chaos in this area. So yeah, it's fun, but obviously you've also got back up here. You can have your more traditional season 1, season 2 nightmare comps in this area, allowing for the fact that you've got you've got the Garnet Guards who can take out your platform units up here. So yeah, you've got more flexibility in your platforms. You've got more flexibility in your defenses. Just remember, Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So when you look at these maps, yes, there is some kind of feeling of going back to the first map. Some of the positions allow you to get that sense. But here are the things to keep in mind. You're gonna have to protect them better against one, the Garner Guards, and two is going to be the new Demon Soldier, the one that
Yeah.
actually stacks your magic resistance. So because a lot of those situations was where we this clumps, sometimes there were a lot of magic in it, so we would then um, form our compositions based on that. But now they're going to give us a demon soldier to kind of combat that. So you're gonna get some familiarity back for some old defenses that you might have, but Ingrid, Dahlia, they're still going to be doing their thing again. There are some positions here where they can work optimally if you have the heroes to surround them and synergize with. But we have more demon soldiers now to get around some of the situations here.
Yeah, I mean, while you can see I tanked, so position there, that is a non-standard build I. I'm not going to reveal her build. I'm just going to let that pain be discovered by my competitors in the next round, next season. But yeah, this is not a standard. You've got to be really careful about how you put your units here.
So can you lift one of the platforms to show where the platforms are?
Yeah,
So you can
so
kind of
there are
see
no platform units down the bottom. There
on
is
the
one
bottom.
here. And if you were, I don't know, running an IOR based team and you happen to have Ajax in, you could be causing crazy chaos on the spawn points if you were so inclined. Because those 3 tiles here are the spawn points for the demon soldiers.
Correct. But you are giving up a lot of strategy if you do that. So
You are, and it just depends how much you want to mess with your opponents and how confident you are.
yeah,
I mean, if you're
exactly.
running like
That's
you've got like a Garn Valderon defense that you can put somewhere else. The fact that you're then running Ivar, almost like a no healer defense, it'd be pretty nutty. But yeah, there are things you could do.
yep. So you can kind of see that the platform is just like surrounding everything else. So it's nothing like there's one awkward platform or anything. It's pretty standard, I guess, with other maps that we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Now, where your Ajax is, though, I think Scoover was able to tell me that, or somebody said that Gardner Guards do
They'll
aim for
hit
that tile.
once, but
Okay,
it's inconsistent. And
right.
yeah, the Garnet guards don't seem to be performing as well as they might have previously.
The
And
AI changed it with this map a little bit, so make sure that your guildmates kind of educate you on that a little bit as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting map to play with. I need to spend a bit more time playing with it in the next couple of days to try and get my head around it. But yeah, it's definitely got some interesting things to offer to it. But yeah, especially when this new demon soldier comes out who adds magic resistance, this map could be this setup could be useless. I know this because this is what they did with the Garnet Guards. They gave you lots of places where you could put tower units, and all of a sudden, all of your platform units were just getting taken out by this unit who walked in. Now we're going to have all of these defenses, which are applying lots and lots of magic damage, which is really effective against the demons, who are suddenly resistant to magic. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so then in terms of any other notes that I had regarding the keeps, it's basic strategies I think are going to apply. The overlord compositions are going to be really harsh to get through. I already know it because if you can build them with enough speed, enough damage, there's a couple traps you can set yourself up for. But yeah, the way that he has this laid out right now, I think that this is going to be one of the popular ones, especially with Ingrid Dahlia, if you wanted to do something like that. But it's going to be the standard keep that I think that we've seen like in the beginning, season 3 or 1 through 3,
Yeah.
and then before we had this the Ingrid map. So I think that that still will apply.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly diving over to the towers, just so you can have a look at those.
Yeah, so this is the one that we've been practicing a little bit more.
Okay, so here we've got 2 tiles of spawn points, and we've got 4 platform tiles up here. So let's just, for example, you can have your long range units hidden away
That will
at the
be,
back here. And then you can have your tanky units a little bit in the front, and then you would have your support somewhere nearby, but it's much harder to get healing on all of the units that you might be using to support people.
but you're gonna the healer is going to be, you're gonna want to emphasize your healer in the spot to protect your tank. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Now in this setup here, that platform that is 2 tiles up to the right of the where you put Jira, that's out. You don't even want to mess with that tile anymore.
This one?
That's a Garnet Guard heaven right there.
Yeah.
If you cannot control the Garnet Guard, they're just gonna take that spot out. So put him in the back. You're gonna want him, in the back, especially using somebody like Ingrid and Dahlia.
Yeah, and they have put more thought into the maps where it's saying you can use your Ingrid and Dahlia, but they will be a lot less effective, because if you pull your your tank back to be there, suddenly your Ingrid's in range again, and
Yes,
then
exactly.
that's all of your bonuses is just disappeared. And if you've got a demon soldier who provides magic resistance coming in, and suddenly you're going to have a lot more problems on your plate.
So don't be cute and try to put like a long range fighter to pick off the spawn point or stuff like that. That can be easily countered. You're just wasting positions if you try to do anything like that. So,
and you can only really hit one tile anyway, so it's
I know that
not
some
worth
people
it.
want to try. Yeah, exactly. So it's not worth it. So I got one of our guildmates doing that. I was like, no, don't. It's not worth it.
It's because the loudmouth guild leader suggested it in chat, and so they wanted to try it out.
Yeah. All right. So then we have so we have those 3 platforms so don't use that platform on the bottom top.
Yeah.
If you're gonna put tank there. Where you put I think it was, right? Or you had Gwendolyn, was it?
Gwendolyn.
I think it was Gwendolyn.
Yeah.
So I think that reached by the Garnet Guards, but you should have enough of a defense to not let them get that close. I think that's just the way that I would strategize that.
I think there is something you could do with your Ingrids across there, taking it like putting a lot of damage on the units as they come around this corner.
So if Garnet Guards are taking that platform out, then your defense, you're not building your DPS right. You should not give them the opportunity to get that far or that close to that tank.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could do, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Find somewhere.
So now let's go to the left. Let's go to the left where you're positioning things. So here's where some people might rely back to their old Tower 1 map days, where they put the classic Nightmare and you try to do that. But of course, some of those platforms you can pick up with Garnet Guards. Then you'll have the demon soldier coming about. So yeah, you're gonna have to strategize differently with that. I set up a defense to be tested. I'm still waiting to hear back from people to see how the Garden Guards are interacting with the setup. But we'll get to that later. I imagine that those two platforms there, by the core to the right of the upper, to the right beside the tank that you place on top. Yeah, those are gonna get picked off. That I can
Yeah.
already foresee. But
I
yeah, I'm still waiting
think
for the other one.
I tried one of our guildmates who'd done like a Morrigan Dahlia here, and I was able to take out Morrigan on this tile, and Dahlia just wasn't doing enough. That's not to say you couldn't be really smart and have your Ingrid and Dahlia both hammering down on units, but that's a lot of magic damage coming in, and again, there is a large magic defender coming in to this place, so. And they've made it really difficult to use things like Valkyra as well, who was another GvG staple who's kind of been pulled back in her utility. So yeah, there's going to be some chaos that's going to come in with this map. Magic, I think, is going to be pushed down. They're trying to push people more to having more balanced defenses. So it's not all magic or it's not all physical. You've got to have a balance because otherwise the rock, paper, scissors of the teams is going to be against you. And you just need to think about your team compositions, how you're placing your units, and how to get the best out of the map.
Yeah, I think that they learned from the season 4 tower, season 5 keep. They just did not want to favor one particular unit too much. So they're giving you the opportunity to play them. It's just they're just making sure that they don't dominate it like Ingrid has done here over the last couple of seasons.
Definitely. And that's no bad thing. I mean, I have Ingrid. I think she's incredibly powerful, but she can be a real pain, and it can feel very, very one-sided if you're coming up against like 24 Ingrids on defense, which happened to people in season 4, and it was horrible.
I think that these maps allow you to combat Ingrid in the sense where we get to change her mode a little bit easier, right? So if we don't want her in her stellar or in her what's the solar mode,
yeah.
we can kind of get our units released in a manner where she'll switch to stellar and then try to get around that. This map, I think, allows that a little bit better.
I think they've also changed her logic coding as well. So she's going to be switching faster than she did previously as well. So I think this is going to be an interesting first couple of weeks. On top of the gauntlet. I mean, what's the perfect time?
Exactly. Yes. All right. Anything else that we've kind of learned from this map so far in terms of the style of defenses that we're preferring to see based on the interactions with the demon soldiers?
Not so far, no. I think it's definitely an interesting map. I think Swarm is still going to be a very valid strategy. I will say that certain new limited single target heroes who you wouldn't necessarily think could cause chaos are causing chaos. So look out for those ones. But yeah, I think overall it's a balanced map, but yeah, it's going to be, we'll see how things develop over the next couple of weeks.
Perfect. So we just kind of wanted to give you an overview of what the maps look like and what we've been seeing so far in terms of the demon soldier interaction. I did tell Arcturus a little bit that I did feel a little bit underprepared because we had to concentrate and devote so much time to the gauntlet that we really didn't have a chance to play around with these maps like we should have had. So my suggestion to Muntan is when the gauntlet is running, don't open this, just let it sit. And I understand that there will be some guilds that won't have guild wars for a while. But when we're talking about 256 guilds that are
Yeah.
participating in the global server, then I think that a lot of the players that are focused and like this content will be within that 256. So
Yeah.
all the other guilds are not going to emphasize on that. They can rest, they can sit it out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and it's just going back to the gauntlet schedule here. So even if it's 3 extra days on top of that, so we
Yeah,
worked out. So it's 3 extra days that so it's effectively just over 2 weeks, or just over a week, because there is so little time between each of these rounds. You get like 4 hours changeover to make minor modifications between each round, and that is your it's just over a week. The player base might crumble a little bit, but for the people who
so
are spending the most money, who are enjoying this content, they're the ones who are going to feel the pain. So I'm going to clip this, and it basically like we need to and send it to Moonton, because it needs to be made clear that they need to appreciate the impact of running both the Gauntlet and Season 6 at the same time will have on the player base.
right, because you and I kind of did the math here, right? We're starting tomorrow, Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So the 4 guilds that advance to the last 2 rounds, they're not only going to have to make sure to get in here and get that done, but they are going to have to, their first match is going to be influenced as well. So, and they have to set up the different defenses. It's not like you're carrying over. You have to make sure that you have your gauntlet defense locked, re-gear, and then go and lock your season 6 one. So in global, how it would work, then it would be, because we're extending it now by 3 days. Now we're pushing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then the guilds that keep going. Now it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So those guilds are going to, for a week, season 6, first round, gauntlet right on top.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that's a lot of GvG. I'm sorry, that's a lot of GvG. For Overlord, my guild, you see the chat, right? And how involved this gets to crush some of the differences. And now you have to do times 2. Oof, man, I don't know.
Especially the top guilds who are running defenses back, and they're going, okay, I need to set up on this tower, so I need to coordinate and I get it through. And teams who are moment who are doing, oh well, we'll do split day 1 and split day 2. It's like, you're not going to have that. You've got 24 hours to get your attacks in, to get it down for the next battle. It's going to be intense, and that's going to impact. And at the end of the day, as much as we love this game, a lot of us have day jobs. Yeah, so we can't spend 24/7 day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in this game, communicating, coordinating, especially for the guild leaders, to make sure that everything is happening and everything's getting done, so we can get the achievement that everyone deserves based on their performance.
And in some situations, your defense might not get hit until the end, the latter end of the round of the match. So you don't know if he held up well or not. And then if you can catch and get an idea of if it did get taken down at all, you only have 4 hours to fix it, right? Otherwise, you're riding with the same thing. And are you going to be sleeping during those 4 hours? What time zones are going to get affected? So that is another thing. So when I'm looking here at some of the top guilds that are going in global right now, I don't know if Mad would think that this would be a big deal, because Mad lives GvG and arena pushing. But if we're talking like the Shire, the Rising Tide, some of the Celestials guilds that are getting on top here, I think that if Dragon Slayers too, 1 and 2, who else am I seeing here that is English speaking? That are kind of well, I can actually LG. I can go and encourage them to do it as well. Is to say, listen, we know how you're planning to do this. It may not be the greatest idea, so you should really give us an extra week between 6 and 5 and 6 and 6. They should just start suggesting that.
I mean, I think that's potentially a better strategy than the one which I was hinting at earlier, which was non-participation. But I think, they've got to do something because it is going to be an impact, and next week is going to be rough.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let this run here because we're forerunning the content, and again, because I'm in the CC program, and part of it is being a forerunner master, as what how they refer me. They refer to me is I'm gonna write them exactly like I've done with all the other content, and say the way that you laid this out, you presented it is bad. This is how we would change it, and if you want to even clip this and send it, even better, because we're covering here. We're trying to provide solutions. We're trying to provide you a little bit of a relief of a headache that you're not foreseeing coming, especially in global.
Yeah, I mean, 256 guilds is an awful lot of people. He says, frantically reaching for a calculator. Wow. At most, if all of those guilds are populated, it's 7,680 people who are affected by this.
Yep. So what I would say is, I don't think that the other players that are not in that group, the 7,600, I don't think that those players are going to miss GvG for an extra week. So it's okay to give us an extra week off. That preparation phase on the season 6, that can be extended even further. So yeah, give everybody a chance to adapt to that map, and then to have enough time to adapt to the new season 6 map.
Yeah.
That was, so for me, for those of you that watched my video when I did my rant, that was my major, my number one problem was overlaying the content right on top of each other. But number 2 was the communication that we got in the vagueness behind whether the gauntlet was going to be on or off, especially after the week that we've had. And they had come to me and said, please be more transparent, communicate to us a little bit better. And then they gave me the runaround with this content, and they just said, oh, no, it's coming. Here, we're throwing it at you right away. Sorry. So it was really weird. So that's where that came from. But now it's just like, let's just play it. We adjusted it to it, I guess, in a manner, right? So we're not worried too much about season 6 right now. We'll focus on the gauntlet, but we're more concerned about how the global players are going to preserve this.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're the ones who are going to suffer the most. I think I can pretty much work out how this is going to fall out on Forerunners in terms of which guild's going to finish where, but we'll see who gets a lucky matchup and whether they do to go 1, 2, 3, 4. In which case, we will be back and we will be complaining about this next week again, loudly.
Right. So the way that I close this out is, I hope that anybody that decided to go chase Hex and Twilight, you got the hero into your accounts. You get a chance to play with them. They're both very good heroes. I know you keep chasing Hex. I feel bad for you, man. This
I mean,
did you get Twilight on the list?
I got A1 Twyla. So I was. I mean, that was nice, but it's now like I have A1 Twyla and no Hex. So all of the advantages of her bond skill, I can't make use of.
And remember to do your Shadow Castle, get those candies, get that special skin for Baron. Don't forget about that. At least that's one free skin that you can get. And I don't think that there's anything else that we that I have to pass along for this week.
No, I think that's it. Thank you once again for joining me, Sebastian. It's been a pleasure to have you on. And yeah, Slate did send her apologies. She did want to be here, but unfortunately, content creators are allowed social lives.
Exactly. So, hey, remember, this is supposed to be interactive. So please comment below. What do you think about how things were set up? We do want to forward this information to the developers as well, especially if you're in the global server.
Thanks very much for joining us. See you next time. Bye-bye.